just a few minutes.
You notice any blood on him, sir?
Yes.
And where did you notice the blood?
Down his nostrils, streaming down both sides of his lips, I believe.
Both sides
of his lips.
Could you tell whether there was any damage to his nose, sir?
No.
And did you subsequently also see some blood on the back of his head?
Yes.
That was a former neighbor testifying in court today about what he witnessed February 26th of last year. And join us now to break down the fifth day of testimony, defense attorney Kelli Bynum and personal injury attorney John Phillips. Thanks for coming in. Today wraps up week one of testimony in this case. You heard that witness describe the injuries he said on he saw on George Zimmerman. And it was a pretty big day in court, Kelli, wasn't it, as far as what we heard from the stand today?
It was. I think that it's definitely taken a turn towards the defense. A lot of people have even asked me why would the state put on witnesses that would totally contradict kind of their theory of the case. One being it's part of their case in chief. They want to be preemptive about it. They may have heard that information in depositions, but they want to be, you know, they don't want the defense to put them on in their case in chief and say, surprise, look what the state's been hiding. And really, the defense did a very credible job in cross-examination, and I think even on direct, certain information came out that wasn't great for the state.
John, one of the witnesses who testified today was a neighbor by the name of Jonathan Good, and he talked about what he saw that night, and he described the clothing they were wearing and later referred to Trayvon Martin being on top of George Zimmerman, who he thought was Trayvon Martin. How pertinent is that?
John Good was very bad for the state of Florida. Bernie didn't seem prepared for what John was going to say. You know, he said that Trayvon was on top, meaning that Trayvon had control, and he was using a term ground and pound from MMA. Didn't know if he was striking him, but that was the position he was in. And they were on the grass, and Bernie made it clear that he was on the grass. Well, then they wound up on the sidewalk, which is how they say some of the gashes to the head, and Trayvon was still in control. The screams came from Zimmerman, and so overall it fit right within Zimmerman's theory of the case. And even Bernie had a diagram with him on the grass, acting like he wasn't on the concrete. He said, no, he was on both. So to me, the defense could argue he was crawling to try to get away, and Trayvon still took control.
On behalf, as far as the state goes, John Good admitted that he only saw a few seconds of this tussle, is how it was described on the stand today. And if you are in a fight and you're rolling around and tussling, Trayvon could have been on top, Zimmerman could have been on top. It depends when you look, right? I mean, will jurors take that into consideration?
Certainly, I think they would, but I think a big thing to remember is that this is the state's case. They have the burden of proof, and if that testimony from Mr. Good poked even the slightest reasonable doubt, all you need is one reasonable doubt to acquit, and the law actually says you have to acquit if you have one reasonable doubt.
Now, Trayvon told police that night that he went on top of Zimmerman, climbed on top of him, spread his hands apart, and had pinned him down, pinned him to the ground. But witnesses today testified that Trayvon Martin's hands were actually found underneath his body. John, how important is that?
Yeah, there was some question of how Trayvon's body was moved, and they even talked about that's not exactly how I see it. And I don't know that that's going to be the biggest issue. The biggest issue to me is who the screams came from.
Right.
And that came, John Good said he was pretty sure it was Zimmerman. And then the relative marks was discussed today. You know, they went literally around Zimmerman's head talking about the marks, and you know, should Zimmerman have gotten out of the car? No. Should Zimmerman have gone to apprehend Trayvon? No. But if you just focus on the fight, there was a lot of reasonable doubt poked today.
And Kelli, what do you think is the key crux to this case so far, what we've heard in week one of testimony?
So far, I mean, I've got to say it was probably the testimony today. You know, even the young lady that was on the phone with Trayvon, she had some inconsistencies. She said that she was trying to be protective of his mother, but it could be reasonable doubt.
Very interesting. It will ultimately be up to 6 women, 6 female jurors who are sequestered. Yes. They'll be sequestered this weekend, and throughout the remainder of the trial, they're going to take July 4th off, but they'll be back at it Monday morning at 9 o'clock, and you can watch the trial streamed live on our website at firstcoastnews.com. Thanks so much for coming in this evening. A wonderful weekend, and we'll see you back next week. Still ahead, the family of